Welcome to Shooting the Bull, the official podcast of the Championship Darts Circuit. A casual conversation about the sport of darts, talking about topics of the day from a North American perspective, featuring a cast of characters and contributors from the CDC roster and the world of darts. Now here's your host, Anthony Eugenia.
All right, welcome everybody to the latest episode of Shooting the Bull, the official podcast of the Championship Darts Circuit. I am your host, Anthony Eugenia. You can find us on social media on Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, YouTube, and you can find us at Champ Darts. So please subscribe and follow those pages. We will also be putting this podcast up as an audio podcast on Apple and Spotify and other great podcast locations. So please give the show a like and a follow and a 5-star review if you like the product. All right. So tonight's episode, let's meet our contributors and guests this evening. First up, an original CDC tour card holder and CDC analyst, Mr. Gordon Dixon. Gordo, what's up, brother?
Oh, that's the first time I saw the graphic. How are you?
Good. Yeah, our graphics, Jeff and Vicky graphics department through the roof this year. Like we're knocking it out. We're bringing it to a new level. Joining me and Gordon is the 2024 cross-border Darts Challenge champion. He is also a former CDC Continental Cup champion. We are graciously joined by the Jackal, Alex Spellman. Hey, Alex, what's up, brother?
It's going all right.
Thanks. Yeah, doing all right. Thanks for coming on tonight, boys.
Glad to be here.
Everything. All right. Don't forget to sign up for the CDC newsletter. You can find that information on our website, champdarts.com. And let's jump into our first segment. Recently held was the CDC Cross-Border Darts Challenge in Los Angeles at HITKOR. And we'll give you just sort of a quick overview, and then we'll talk about a couple of bullet points. The field consisted of 8 players from Canada, 8 from the United States in a cool, that we think anyway, a cool little tournament that is a singles competition, but it does have a team twist to it. Those players all earn a point for their wins, and the team that is first to 8 points hoists what we call the Nations Cup. Coming into this event, Canada had won the first 2 events, so Canada was 2-0 in the Nations Cup. Let's talk quickly about the sort of main event. We saw really good performances from Adam Savada, Jeff Smith, but ultimately Leonard Gates was the man to raise the trophy on Saturday night. Gates, a big weekend. There you go. There's the champ. For the first time, we have a player that holds both the CDC Continental Cup Championship and the CDC Cross-Border Championship, and that is one Mr. Gates. Some numbers for everybody. Gates threw a 107 first 9 average, so he came out of the blocks, or out of the gates, if you will, scoring really well. 19 180s in the event to Adam Savada's second 7. So, more than doubled up player in second place, and we saw Gates take the final 7-4 over Jeff Smith. So Gordon, first to you, just sort of an overview on, and Gates. You were with us when CDC launched way back in 2015, and Gates is now a decade in, has become the most decorated player in the history. He's got the most CDC wins, 2 Continental Cups now, and a cross border. So put that into a little context, if you will, of the competition Gates has had to play to earn those things, and overall Gates, player who's just, for right now and the past decade in a way, has sort of excelled in all these platforms.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's not a lot that needs to be said. The flowers have been given to Leonard Gates plenty of times, and he's earned them. I think he's been a standard bearer for the CDC since its inception, and I think that goes to show not only in averages, but as you mentioned, titles. All of that kind of leads to the legacy that we see. Leonard Gates create. And I know when I sent my picks for this particular event, I said that he hadn't won a match and he was going to win it this year.
Yep.
And there's also something to be said about Leonard Gates in that regard, that there's not very many events that he doesn't eventually get right. And maybe that's not always a W. Maybe that's not always hoisting the
Hmm.
trophy at the end. But if he's a consistent attendee or qualifier, as we continue to get additional opportunities to qualify for things, that he's not again just showing his abilities on every level.
Yeah, for a bit here, we had, I had Mark Taggart lined in here to be the guest, before the event, but he made a pick of Spellman, and so Gordon gets the nod. What does Mark know? Just playing around with our guest, we want to bring in now Mr. Spellman. Um, you're defending the title. We get to the semifinals, play really, really inform Jeff Smith. Um, Jeff gets you with a over 90 performance. Give us your run through on that, and then of course we're going to talk you as captain of Team USA, and we'll let everybody know about what happened with the Nations
Yeah.
Cup.
Yeah. A year ago, and I kind of mentioned it, after the event, a year ago, I wasn't playing so great. I was kind of struggling with my form a little bit, and I kind of hit a sweet spot right before the event. So I came in feeling pretty confident. I came in kind of the opposite this time, where I had been playing well, but then I kind of got busy and it was hard for me to get time on the board. And so the only thing I liked looking at the initial bracket was I didn't have a lot of experience with Roker, but kind of like Sylvain
Mm-hmm.
last year, I think he didn't have a lot of experience on that stage, so I felt good about that. Then I
Sure.
had Jake Taylor, who, even during COVID when he was blowing everybody up, I had a really good, head-to-head record with him, so I felt comfortable there. Jeff Smith, before online darts was popular during COVID, we played webcam darts 13 years ago
Mm-hmm.
or so. He may not remember that, but the work I put in during COVID was based off of how he plays, which was I never saw Jeff as like the big, like 180, 180, 180 guy. It was always just like ton, 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 ton out, ton, 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 ton out, ton.
Yeah, exactly.
It,
Yeah, we've talked about in commentary, Jeff being
yeah,
so solid in that ton to ton 40 range, really just sort of
right,
like, you can't call a 140 guy a grinder, but more just, I'd say
right. But
consistent pressure,
and maybe
on his opponent.
Gordon may agree with me here. There's a lot of high level dart players that are very good, but they're very streaky, and you know that at some point they're going to give you an opening. So as long as you do your job, you're gonna do fine. But then there's guys like Jeff, who his bad games, he's still going 85, 85. He's still catching a triple every round, and he's finishing well. And that wears you down much more over a long format than anything else. So that's what I wanted to be. And for 2 years, that's what I was doing. Is I wasn't always winning, but I was always playing well, which made you have to beat me. Um, so when I went to play Jeff, I already knew that that's what I could expect from him, and I just had to hope that that up and down game that I've been having, that I
Mm-hmm.
hit my up against him. And kind of early on in that match, you just kind of, you're trying as hard as you can, but you just kind of know where that match is heading, and unfortunately, that was the result.
But we know the level that you expect of yourself. But
Yeah.
from a spectator standpoint, you played well. A lot of good moments.
Oh yeah,
Averages
yeah.
were
Don't.
mid 80s to high 80s. So from an outside perspective,
Yeah,
of course, not winning it is where your goal is, but still, I
yeah,
think
and
a good event for Alex
yeah.
Spellman.
And as a player, you're constantly moving the goalposts. Like me playing poorly now would kick my ass from 3 years ago. I would be ecstatic if I was playing poorly and shooting mid 80s, or at least feel like I'm playing poorly. But it's because I've seen where I could be. So you're always judging yourself on where you feel like you should be, not where you are. And that's what I'm kind of doing now. I know we had a long talk on the ride there, so you have a little bit more insight to that. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I always enjoy playing those special events. In this particular year, the stage was about as good as it could be. There were, I'm sure there were a few little hiccups here and there, but there always are when you're trying something new. It's not a big deal. It only becomes a big deal if it's a recurring issue kind of thing. But
absolutely,
we love the
yeah.
venue.
There's no. Yeah, and we'll stay there. We'll go to the Nations Cup next, but it's a good place to bring Gordon back into, and we'll talk about the like you said. We were in Los Angeles. We were at a facility called HITKOR, which is a complete production studio. From us on the production side, it was amazing to be in there. Soundboards and soundproof rooms and all that sort of stuff that you dream about moving to, and that's where we were. It was a first that we tried a pay-per-view event, and there were a lot of things looking to be accomplished with that. It was to sort of set the stage of where darts is from a spectator standpoint in North America. Gauge the interest, put on a product like that, get people used to putting on something that like WWE calls it a premier live event. Like something that's going to be a little more special than the month in, month out circuit. You build the circuit. That's where the players grind, earn some prize money, earn those points to get into those special events. And those special events are meant to be made special for spectators, for players, and then to as a broadcast. So some new things there. With little footage over there. So I wanted to get Gordon's perspective on we wind up in Hollywood this year for a special event, Gordon, a little bit away from the Pac-Man room. Glad that we were hosted at Blueberry Hill, but our first Continental Cup was not broadcast live, recorded. Talk about a lot of growing pains. Mr. Dixon will remember quickly the first match ever at the Continental Cup Finals in 2015. Gordon mumbles by me as I'm scoring and says, "Well, somebody's got to beat a guinea pig."
Yeah,
Guess who messed up the score line? Messed up a few good things. So, but Gordon Dixon does have the distinction of being the first player in the first match of the Continental Cup Finals in our inaugural year. So what a difference 11 years is, huh, Gordon?
Yeah, anytime you're not doing commentary in a kitchen, I call it we'll call it a W.
You might call that a W?
Yeah, we're gonna call that a W. No, I mean aesthetically, I think it was like you said, head and shoulders. I know the HITKOR group has been a sponsor for 3 years now.
Yeah, 2 years now.
Yeah, and to see that kind of culminate and actually putting something on in their studio, I think was exciting. And again, just another step forward in what the CDC is building. And I know there's always frustrations with travel and how far away some people had to get. I think that's all part of kind of the growing pains again that we're going through in the United States. We've addressed a lot of the concerns as far as standard is concerned. I think we see that continue to rise. I think when I looked, it was high 80s for the entire event, and then I look at like the Chinese Premier League, which is still like high 70s, low 80s for their events, even their finals. And those are some of the gauges that I use to kind of see how I think we're doing overall. Because sometimes when you're so close to something, or when you're just kind of sitting back, as some of the punters do on Facebook, just kind of throwing rocks, it's important to keep those kind of things in perspective. But no, I mean, we've done that in California before as well, and it was or an event out there, and it was
Yeah,
in a
yeah, we
bar.
did.
So I mean, to again have a partner like HITKOR to kind of host that and get a taste of what production can really mean is important.
Yeah, we've progressed. We've been in we were in Jersey City and then Michigan City and now outside of LA for the cross border. So the cross border has really been a sort of a useful tool for us to break barriers and try new things and try different venues. And I will tease, I know that there is a big desire to get that cross border up to Canada, and it is in the works. We'll leave it at that. It is, we're looking into it, and as most things are in the world, it's a monetary thing, it's a financial thing to sort of make it work for everybody. There's it doesn't behoove the players, the organization, anything. If we do an event, then it's it loses a ton of money. I can hear Pizza Terror right now. In my
Well,
ear.
hey, I work in yeah,
Yeah.
I work in healthcare, and there's a saying that I think goes across some of these things where there's no mission if there's no margin, and that's something else to keep in mind when you're doing things like this. So there's a lot in healthcare with nonprofits and stuff like that, and you'll see plaques that say "No mission, no margin," and that's another thing to keep in mind when you're looking at these things from a
Absolutely.
business point of view.
And, and
I'm just
I can't
recalling
speak.
a hallway conversation I had with you and DJ, and if you would have really given it to that sort of layout, we wouldn't have made it past year two with this cockamamie idea. Because if we had any sense, we would have been done years ago. But yet we're marching on, brother. Alex,
Yeah.
you had something
Oh,
on
I
that.
was just going to say,
We'll do the basic stuff.
I can't speak for all the other players, but at least for myself, especially in the early days of the CDC stuff, as we're trying this, I'm willing to make the sacrifices that you can't. Like Gordon was saying, you guys have to do what makes sense monetarily. So I will take the inconvenient travel, maybe the slightly more expensive travel, whatever it is, for now to help kind of get it going, so that the hope is that eventually that kind of goes away.
Without a doubt, and we appreciate, and to full disclosure, I mean that is a lot of the conversations we had with players as we got this thing started. We're 11 years in now, but at early days, that was the sort of hope that, like, if we all put some investment into this, it's going to start pay off. So what did you quickly think about the event that HITKOR, the idea of being in LA, a little bit more high level
Um,
production stuff? How did it feel as a player, and what did you hear from the players about the event?
it certainly felt more professional than being in, say, like a VFW or an American Legion, or something similar to that. Obviously, I know that's not where we were last year, but just saying, it
Mhm.
felt more professional. I understand that some people didn't like that the crowd was small, but I guess it just didn't get around enough that was kind of by design. It wasn't meant to
Yeah,
be
exactly.
crowded.
The sort of the venue is kind of built that way to be
Yeah.
a more of a streaming experience.
Right. And with HITKOR being a sponsor, obviously I don't know the inner behind the scenes workings, but I imagine
Hmm.
that provided them, they already have the venue and the setup, and that probably if they charged you anything, if at all, it probably could provide it at a deal compared to some other big venue.
It made
But
sense for
but
both parties.
the
Exactly.
the only negative was that spiral staircase that there was a bolt that was a little popped out, and I remember walking up it the first time, and I heard clink, like a cling of metal that sounds like a bolt fell, and so we all took our time one at a time going up those stairs. But other than that, the sound. I mean, we had a sound room to practice in, plenty of room. You had the space upstairs where we could actually sit and watch the event. They had a
Hmm.
Pac-Man and NBA Jam, little video games thing to keep us busy in between. So when I lost and I wasn't feeling very good about myself, but I wanted to listen to the rest of the matches, I went and I played NBA Jam while I listened to the matches going on behind me.
Yeah.
But no, I enjoyed it. I would absolutely do it again. I know that some players didn't want it there, and that probably led us to, what Gordon said is our the event average. We didn't even have necessarily some of our strongest players. We're missing Jim Long.
Hmm.
We're missing Matt Campbell. We're missing Danny Lobby. and even Jules, because I know Jules is going through struggles, but when you have it, sometimes it can just come back. You never know. But we shot a 85, 86, as he mentioned. The only events I'm looking at around that time that were even around that average were the Players Championships events, and they were only at a 91. So we're only 6 points off of that pace. And we didn't even have a full, strong, like our strongest field that we could possibly have.
A full complement, if you will. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right, kudos to the North American boys. And so we'll. Could you hear? Oh, was that not on the air? I just. Yeah, that I just heard. Yeah, we just heard from producer Jeff that the HITKOR folks were like, "Don't worry, the stairs are not collapsing." That's you know, in every job site there's that thing. So the bolt is that thing, like it doesn't matter. You work at Goldman Sachs, the Fortune 500 company. There's somebody who says that empty paper towel roll does that, and it always has, and that's what we use because it works. Every job site has some quirky like that.
But
so
now,
that was
my one big
bolt.
suggestion. My one big suggestion is obviously, the players are going to do their job. From our perspective, I didn't see a whole lot of any hiccups if there were. I know we got yelled at for getting on the stage a little too early. So other than that, it is a recording studio. Lobby plays the drums. I play guitar. So if you get the 8 or the 16 cross-border participants in there, we could record a CDC song. Like a chorus.
Gordon,
of
can't
the
you
guys
see
that
like the
can't play
1987 WWE, Rock'em Sock'em CDC darts?
Or the
Yes.
the
Up next,
Shuffle
the
or
next
whatever.
crazy venture we've got is a CDC album.
Yep.
I love it. All right, we got to bring this segment home. I was told, keep this one short, and of course we didn't. So we ran a little B-roll. So let's run that again so folks can take a little look at the Nations Cup. We came into it as we said. Canada had taken the first 2 years, and Alex Spellman was leading the charge. And there we go. We see Alex Spellman as honorary captain of Team USA. They pick up the 2025 Nations Cup with a 10-5 victory. It was the first team to 8. So the USA got to that point as we concluded the quarterfinals. So as we wrapped up the night, USA squarely had it in the bag. So a quickie to Alex, just, express how it felt to sort of break the ice there, get the first one for USA, be named an honorary captain, and to be up there, get that trophy from Peter Cetera. And how did the boys feel? How did USA feel?
Yeah, to be bluntly honest, it's really hard for us to have that kind of button heads kind of thing. I know I made some jokes at the end that it offended at least one person, which obviously you guys put me on the spot to say something, so I felt like I had to be a little.
Oh, you delivered. Trust me, it was all good. Controversy sells newspapers, so we're all good.
But no, it's
controversy.
I don't really consider them like different than us. I keep catching myself when people talk about American players. I keep talking about the Canadians because we travel so much and see each other so much that we're all friends. So if there's any button heads trying to win that cup, it's more like friendly banter, friendly kind of stuff. If we win the cup, the Canadians, are you going to be like, oh, it's never going to happen again, we'll get it back next year? But there's just not that, I don't know, maybe we just need to start recruiting guys in to play this event that just absolutely hate each other. Then we can have fun with it. But
or you could ramp it up and introduce even more events that are USA Canada, a la maybe like a Ryder Cup type thing. But like we'll keep the lid on that for right now.
Yeah, and while we all kind of enjoy the playful side of that, the serious side of that is still currently focused, at least from my perspective, and I don't want to assume for the other players, but I would imagine it's fairly similar, that our focus is on that MSG spot, winning the event as an individual initially. But obviously over time, like I know we're not a PDC World Cup level yet, but we're I mean, I enjoy the event. I like the idea of it. And I even kind of spitballed some ideas. I know you were talking about like Ryder Cup style, where it's like, okay, if I'm the team captain for America, I get to like set the lineups and stuff. That doesn't really help us for playing a knockout, because then I can like try to weasel my way to my favorite matchups. But I mean, I enjoyed the event. It's fun. I never talk any kind of smack, so I guess it was fun making. But I guess because I'm so deadpan, some people thought I was being serious, unfortunately. But it just gave me an opportunity to kind of, let my personal feelings out for not playing well.
Of course. Well, and I'll throw it to Gordon in a second. So congratulations to Alex Spellman and Team USA for picking up the Nations Cup. And yeah, it was commented online that all the players who care about the MSG singles. Well, of course. I mean that's what the event was first and foremost. But as it kind of was in front of us, it's like, well, what else can we do with this? So no, do we believe that the players, first priority is the Nations Cup? No, they're coming in as singles players, but why not put another little layer on it? So it's just bells and whistles, and just to make it a little more fun. So I don't see how you argue with the idea of it, and it's another way to sort of promote it a little bit.
It's kind of like pre-COVID, like right when I was starting to actually get kind of decent, and then COVID kind of just helped amplify that. But I would have put Raleigh, North Carolina, and the players we have down here against any state of players. And so like it's that level of competition that it's kind of like, the Canadian top 8, are they better than
First off, we're not gonna. We've all spent 18 hours online debating that, and we've got an Ohio guy here, right, who is clearly going to plant the flag.
That Ohio guy's been down here.
I've got 28 minutes to saddle this puppy and get out of here, and you're gonna open up a grenade on states.
Look,
you're gonna go for the state competition.
I take my notes for segments 2 and 3, and just let's talk states for
25. Right now, I don't know if I could boldly make that statement, but around that time, you had myself, Robbie Phillips, Stevie Phillips, Dan Naylor, PJ, myself. I could keep going, and that was just in one city.
Mr. Spellman, may I get your email address for a moment? What's your email address?
Do you want me to put it out there?
Alex Spellman and give him your best state lineups. Don't come knocking on my door.
So, but the point I was trying to make was if I say that, if I'm wrong, I don't actually it's not a big deal to me. It's just kind of a fun, competitive, statement to make, and then hey, let's play it out. So that's kind of how I see the U.S. versus Canada. It's not to say that the invitees and other people that filled the field because Cameron couldn't be there and Long and those guys, but if we could have the strongest field we possibly could on both sides, that might ramp up some of that competitiveness a little bit. But knowing that guys, chose to opt out, it does take from a player's perspective and that competitive perspective. It's kind of like, you go beat the Bulls and Jordan took the night off.
Who played the event is who played the event. It doesn't, it's 8 against 8. You win fair and square. That's the end of it. You're the champ. Gordo, give me a little, your taste of Nations Cup, USA, Canada sort of stuff, because I know you got something.
Well, yeah. If you want me to hate on Canadians, I mean, how much time do you have? I have no problem.
We might even give you your own segment by the end of this show. You just may have your own segment, pal. So you can.
No, I've been making fun of America's hat for a long time, and all in good fun. I've enjoyed, and to your point, I really agree with what you were saying. I think we all understand that nobody is going there like, I'm here to represent the United States, and I'm going to get my points for the United States, and we're going to win the Nations Cup. No, they're going there to get their spot at MSG. But once everybody's out and the chips start falling where they may, and maybe your favorite player's out, but you still got a couple of whatever nation you're rooting for still in there. Mm-hmm. I think it does add another level of, hey, you know what? If so-and-so wins this one and so-and-so wins that one, it'll come down to the finals match. That's always fun. If both nations are in the final. So to your point, like it just adds another layer. I don't think anybody was under any delusion
An-
that's what everyone was
yeah,
there for. But
another thing
it's a
to
good
put.
event to add that kind
Yeah,
of thing to.
Yeah, something to put a few, a few more shekels on, right? To bet a
Yeah.
beer over or something, right? It just makes things just that more
Yep.
interesting to watch. Like you said, a match late in one round, and it's like, hey, I'm going to keep tabs on it just to see, where the Nations Cup thing goes, right? So, all right, boys. So now we're going to move on. Segment 2 is going to be quick. All right, MSG New York, don't miss it. Boom. All right, segment 3. Now, just joking. We've got all the time in the world. Who has time constraints? Not us, folks. We're not getting paid by anybody. All right. So we're gonna let's transition to a not yet, Gordo. We'll see. Checks are gonna be rolling in, my friend, rolling in. Let's see a video promoting the MSG event, the PDC US Darts Masters, and me and the boys will break it down on the other side.
Unbelievable! That's what I like to see. That's real darts. Pure dart! The greatest darting force on the planet right now. How about that? Oh, magnificent! Sensational darts!
All right, the PDC US Darts Masters comes to MSG June 27th, 28th. You can find tickets at champdarts.com, and there's a promo code PDC25 to save 25%. So first off, we're going to take a look at the field was just announced. The PDC players are Luke Humphreys, Luke Littler, Michael Van Gerwen, Stephen Bunting, Rob Cross, Damon Hedda, Gerwin Price, and Nathan Aspinall. We'll get to our North American representatives in a few moments. So, Gordon, give me your take on those 8, and also what other any changes you would have made from my mind goes to a sort of marketing standpoint of a New York / US. Anybody missing that you think the US market, North American market would like, and anything like that?
The only one that I would have thrown in there is maybe a Michael Smith, just because of past success, and if there are some people that have been there before, maybe that's a name that they maybe have gravitated towards in the past. But to be completely honest, I think they nailed it as far as both standard and there's always an element of who's playing to the crowd. I mean, Damon Hedda is the one that kind of stands out in this group. Like, who knows what kind of American song he's going to be walking out to, and what kind of goofy hat he's going to have or be throwing out to the crowd. And I know that plays into it, not taking anything away from his gameplay, but I think they nailed it with a good mix of the people that are hot and the people that are going to kind of get the crowd riled up, which in this case I think kind of goes across the board with all of them. And I just want to mention, just because Luke Littler is in the group, it is kind of odd how he's kind of slotting into this dark villainesque role that that he's making for himself on the PDC tour. It seems to be getting some guff, and some of that bravado is really turning some of the audiences against him, which I've found interesting to see how he's playing that.
Well, I think every career is going to have sort of its twists and turns on how the fans treat you, and I know, British audiences, for one, right, are always more apt to, the higher you get, the more that they're going to want to kind of knock you off that perch a little bit, right? That's just going to be how they go. I was going to throw a little bit of wrinkle in there. I think you're certainly right in that. Right now, a showmanship angle has a lot to do with it. Like, there's a lot of accomplished high level players that can all be selected for these things, but I think right now in Premier Leagues and World Series events, the bunting walk on, the Aspinall walk on, the header walk on, those things really count now, or they're really in the ingredients in what I'm sure the selection committees and stuff as they look that stuff over. Really high level player who just doesn't get the crowd moving is not going to be as is not going to get tipped over somebody who's really going to get that crowd moving. Now I'm going to make Gordon quite upset. I would have liked to. I know it's really out of left field, but just in that he's really not been here, in a long time, and I'd like to see Barney. I would have liked to see Barney in this, before he retires for like the seventh time.
You can see
Even a guy
Barney
like
in
Gary Anderson.
EPFL.
Wow. All right. Well. Okay. Well, I'm sure that will get
The guy can't
announced
quit
at
quitting.
some point. I'm not. They didn't write us a check either, so I ain't promoting that. But yeah, Barney may be on these shores at some point. I would have liked to see him on MSG, just in that sense of like that's a guy where I think as a dart fan, that might move the needle a little bit. I think there are some players who have resumes that could also be included, and that was a thought I had. I know Gordon Dixon would be knocking down the doors to go see Barney at MSG, right?
Yeah, no, I it would be 3 years in a row I didn't go. But I understand. I think you're playing too much into the nostalgic dart geek kind of thing because I don't
which
disagree.
admittedly I am. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I got to see him quit in Vegas plenty of times already, so I don't need to see Barney quit in America anymore.
Just have
So
I was gonna say, just have them run a stage seniors event over here, and you get Phil Taylor and Raymond and all those guys.
yeah, and kind of that's where I was going. Like, if we're trying to drive new people, and that's why I know he's not at the top of this game, but I threw out Michael Smith because then you just want consistency of who they're seeing, and so that you can build characters here. If we just give them a new 8 or 6 or whatever it is, maybe that's not as effective. Again, I'm not on the marketing side, so maybe they have data that shows the opposite. But that's why his name came to mind, is because he has lifted the trophy recently, and could be kind of a familiar name for everybody that's going.
Yeah, I mean that's certainly fair. From like you said, that there's a large percentage of that audience truly, and that's what makes the MSG event very exciting. Are relatively new dart fans. We walk around that event in the last couple of years and ask, what brought you here, and a lot of it is TikTok videos. So big kudos to the PDC media team. A lot of the people drawn to this event are the reels and TikTok videos and small snippets of the excitement of the sport right now, and that gets these people there. So I will cede on that point. Barney would be a nostalgic point, but I'm glad Taylor was brought up, because that is my mindset in a way. Is the chance to get some of these players who have legendary careers that you never really got a chance to see. And I don't know if people remember, I mean, it was a real shame that Taylor was set to be in the first US Masters in 2017. He got sick over in Australia and bailed out. And at the time, nobody realized that was going to be it. So, so that's where I come with that, is to sort of, make the moment. You don't know when it's coming again. But I think overall, yeah, I mean, that's why, one group is who they are, and and I'm not there yet. Like you got to stay fresh, got to stay ahead of the curve. No, I'm being honest. I'm seeding. My thought is more from a nostalgic standpoint. But when you're selling tickets, trying to drive things forward, then that's where you take it, and that's where you take the field. So point taken, Mr. Dixon. Alex, give us all a chance. You played on that stage. We want to glimpse what it's like for our North American players to get in that building, to walk through, and coming in with the pride that I'm not here to watch the event, brother. I'm here to be part of it. And then what it's like to get into that practice room, and what that experience is like for the North American side.
So as far as getting in the room and being around those players, I had a little bit of experience with that, having played the Challenge Tour the previous year and being able to play the Pro Tour at Hildesheim. And if I'm honest about that, it was, I don't want to say it was disappointing, but it was like you walked in the room and you feel like it's going to be like you're walking on the court to play for the Knicks and the crowd surrounding you. But the Players Championships event are just like a CDC event. It's just everybody's chilling, sitting around talking. I remember warming up on a board. James Wade is sitting behind me, and he gets up and he just throws 3 darts and then goes sit back down. Like, it just seemed like another day at the office. But kind of seeing that they're normal guys makes it that much easier when you get in there to not feel so weird around them. Some of the players are a little bit more. None of them are like rude or anything like that. But like Michael Smith, for example, wasn't really like there. Like, he would kind of show up, go play his match, and then was gone. You know, even at the meet and greet, it was just kind of a sign pass along. Whereas like Dimitri Vandenberg, when I was there the first year, 2 years ago, was like just so excited to talk to everybody. He, before I even introduced myself, he already knew who I was. So I guess, you know, he already did a little bit of research on stuff. So it's kind of a mixed bag, you know. Matt Campbell and I were playing 121 this last year, and MVG asked to pop in, and I enjoyed that, not just for that, you know, experience of playing 121 with those guys, but I use it in my coaching a lot, where I was like, everybody that picks up a dart for the first part of the day, unless you're Luke Littler, they all suck, just so you know. It takes some time to warm up. Like, a lot of my guys, they practice for an hour a day, and they wonder why they don't get better. Like, you're not even giving yourself time to warm up.
I'm completely different. I walk by my board, pick up the 3. I'm not using my noggin. They go exactly where I want them to go, and it all goes downhill from there. Then the thinking starts, and I can't hit the broadside of a barn.
Right. So Campbell and I, we were already warmed up, so we're playing well, and MVG kept missing the doubles, kept screwing up the scoring and all that. But it's just fun realizing that they're just dart players like us. They just happen to be, you know, a little bit better, a lot of bit better, whatever it is. They've sometimes got family in there, so you get to kind of meet, like, met Luke Humphrey's dad and all that stuff. But obviously, I had that prior experience being in a room with those guys before, so it's hard for me to say what it's like if your first experience is. Actually, I'll use Jason Brandon as an example. So the night at the meet and greet, he was like, "Bro, I can't wait till tomorrow. I'm so excited." And then the next day, about 5 minutes before he has to go on stage, it's like he saw a ghost, and he's like, "I don't know about this, man." You know, it's just, it kind of hits you, that reality of like, oh my God, I got to go play.
That's what that's the nugget. That's what we wanted to hear.
Not only he played really awful compared to what he should have played, but so did Rob Cross, and that almost bothered him more. Not that he played bad, but that he played bad and Rob Cross played bad, which meant he could have beat him. You know, so
and that's, you know, we all love Jason Brandon. That wasn't about Jason per se. It was about that you know, we all wonder what, you know, that it's 5 minutes to go on and you're looking for a puke bucket, and it's just it's, you know, you're going on stage at MSG.
Yeah, and my advice to like some of those players is, like, if you take it so serious, sometimes it helps you lock in. But for me, if I'm that locked in, I just can't do that. I have to be talking to people. The year I won the Continental Cup, I'm basically tied with Dave Cameron for a chance to go to the finals of the Continental Cup, and I'm talking to Sally Kelly and some people in the front row in between throws, because I felt like that distracts me a little bit. It takes some of the seriousness off of it. So every player is going to be different. But I grew up watching other teams and things. So MSG itself didn't have the same prestige. I grew up playing baseball. So, like, if I got to go play baseball at like Fenway Park or, you know, something like that, that's, to me, that was different. So for MSG, I didn't know how I needed to react. Like, I was like, I know I'm in this, like, everybody in the world knows this place. But, like, I was so focused on just trying to settle myself in and don't put it on a pedestal, because otherwise I'm not going to be able to manage myself up there. So I just kind of went into it just like, oh, it's no big, like, almost tricking myself, like, oh, this is no big deal. But honestly, being on that crowd for any of the players that are going to do these qualifiers, it made playing at Worlds infinitely easier, because the crowd at MSG, the crowd size at MSG wasn't that much different than the crowd size visually, at least as a player.
It's comparable.
Now the sound at Worlds is 10 times. I can literally feel the sound of the cheers when someone hits a 180 hit you in the back at Worlds. Hopefully one day we get that kind of loudness at MSG, probably bring the whole building down on top of us. But it's so hard to explain because, like I said, every player is going to have their own individual experience. I was there to primarily first do a job. Once I lost, though, I was frustrated because I felt like I let opportunities slip away. The first year, Humphreys didn't play well. Neither did I. The second year, Peter Wright was kind of going in a slump, and people actually had me. I'd say people. I don't know who those people were, but some people had me as a favorite to beat Peter Wright, and I lost in a decider. To be a favorite and be a disappointment against a former world champion is actually kind of cool, I guess. But I got to go sit on the balcony. They didn't want us to like kind of be down there and distract from what's going on, but I got to kind of go sit up on the balcony and watch Jeff Smith make his run in the first event, and some of our guys make some runs in the second event. So that was really cool. I mean, it's the experience is whatever you want out of it.
Absolutely. So, but before we get to the North Americans and then see how you can play your way to join them, we want to say hello. We've got Phil Bars and Jack Garwood in the chat, our boys from Online Darts, and I just want to congratulate them on their 200th episode of the Live Lounge this past Monday. Boys do good work, and we appreciate their support. So let's look at the North American field quickly. We'll get that graphic back up, and then we'll also show you how you can get an opportunity to go to join them. So on the North American side, we've got Matt Campbell, of course, Danny Lauby, Jim Long, and Jules Van Dongen. Those players are by right, by being a PDC Tour card holder. Leonard Gates is in as your reigning CDC Continental Cup champion. So we've got 3 spots that will be filled to join them at MSG. 1 spot is going to be on the CDC Order of Merit, so you can keep tabs on our social media, and we'll get that updated. That is going to, be played over the first 2 weekends of this year's circuit. So that's still in flux for a lot of players at the top of that Order of Merit. So we'll sort of have news as we approach weekend 1 in a couple of weeks on what those standings look like. So there's going to be a player coming out of the Order of Merit. And then over weekends 1 and 2, we do have open qualifiers, and these are open qualifiers. You do not need a CDC Tour card, but you do need to meet the PDC requirements, residency requirements for US and Canada, and those are on the website. So let's pull up the qualifier graphic, if we will, Mr. Jeff. We'll have that handy. In weekend 1 in Niagara, there will be a qualifier on Saturday, and over weekend 2 in Cambridge. So 1 in the US, 1 in Canada, both on Saturday nights, both getting kicked off at 6 p.m. local time, all right? You can register on champdarts.com for those, all right? And those, hence, we've got 2 spots available in the US Masters and the North American Championship. It will be a straight winner gets in. So you enter into that, into each qualifier. Winner makes it to MSG. So, Mr. Spellman will be in that mix, competing to get back on that stage. And as I said, you not only do you earn a spot in the U.S. Masters, play there on Friday night, you play against the PDC players and some really good prize money. And then on Saturday, all 8 of the North American representatives square off for the North American Championship with its $10,000 first place prize and spot at the Ali Pali for the 2026 PDC World Championships. All right, so there's your info on that. We heard from Alex there on what it's like to play at MSG. Let me just turn to Gordon just for a second on qualifiers. The sort of idea that any North American player can come in and play for this, and your compatriot there, the other half of the Action Dads, really set the tone for this in the very first year, saying that, and we're talking about DJ Sayer, that the U.S. Masters is elite. It's an honor. You're going to get to square off with the best in the world. But for the players here, that North American Championship, that's the work. That's the playing against North Americans for a really good amount of money, and most importantly, that spot in the World Championship. So, give me a little assessment on trying to qualify for the US Masters and what those championships mean.
Well, yeah, this is kind of a return to the way we used to only get our one shot at playing in the worlds, is the kind of play and you're in. I think this puts a lot of pressure on everybody. In past years, there's been a couple of spots given away, and then another one or two for points in the
Exactly.
event, which is a lot different mindset when you go into these. And Alex can probably speak to that that pressure even more than I can. But I only remember because when we used to only get one spot, and that goes for North America, we would get one spot, so we'd go to Canada or we'd go to someplace in the United States, and winners in, everybody else is out. And there wasn't even a lot of money to be given away for any of the non-qualifying spots. So this year's version of that is kind of a return to that, but we also already have 5 people with their spots booked, which is awesome. And I mean, I can't argue with what DJ's saying as far as like how those kind of rank in terms of how I would view it as a player. I would be interested to hear Alex's side on that as well. But I'd have to say that raising that North American trophy is a heck of a lot more important than how you play in that USA Masters the next day, because that's really the one that you're looking for. Don't get me wrong, Jeff's not giving the money back for second place from last year, but I think if he had to pick which trophy he was going to hoist, I would guess it would be the North American.
Let's get Alex's take on that, and then we've got another 2 really interesting items.
Yeah, and I mean, and kind of like I said earlier, it's kind of up to the player, or sorry, it's the experience of the player. So because I've played in Worlds before, now that I've had that experience, as much as I want to get that back, for me, I want to run through the gauntlet, and I want to win the US Masters portion, because I want to run through a Littler and a Humphreys and all that stuff. If I do that back to back to back, to me, as someone that's very prideful, I used to tell, I probably said this on this show before or somewhere, where that second year of the CDC, I told John Part, I would rather play well and lose than play bad and win. And he said, well, you're never going to amount to anything. And he literally just said it just like that. He's like, I don't care if I throw a 50 average. If I throw a 50 average and win a world championship, you think I care I shot a 50 average? And I was like, bro, I'd be hiding behind the trophy if I shot a 50. So now that I've had that experience, if I had never had that experience before, I would have absolutely say winning that world or that North American spot to get that experience is absolutely number one. For me now, I feel like I had 2 disappointing showings. I didn't play like the worst, but I didn't play to my potential, and I want to show those guys what I can do. And so it's less about the prize and more about the pride, if that makes sense, for me personally at the moment. But I imagine for the players that haven't had that taste of the worlds yet, that is absolutely going to be their number one goal, especially with the increased first round prize money and things like that. That's probably the one to win.
Which is, yeah, in segment 3, we'll just touch lightly on that, the expansion of the PDC Worlds, which is, another whole big, great topic on its own. A little twist of what's going on here in New York, if I could. I think Jeff has a flyer for the JDC accreditation day. Let's see if we can get that up. If you have a desire, like we see a big part of, we've got a world champion right now, a PDC world champion that came out of this system created by the Junior Darts Corporation. If you have a desire to be involved in youth darts, we're talking 17 and under. This is really the place to train, to expose young players to learn to love the game, and really sort of put on an academy just like you would for martial arts or a chess club or lots of different activities, a really regimented, a great system to bring players in and learn and grow. If you have a desire and an interest and you want to check it out, the JDC will be in town for that PDC weekend, and they were at McHale's last year. McHale's is gracious enough to host them again. So there's a JDC accreditation day that'll be on Friday, June 27th, from 11 to 3 p.m. You can go to juniordarts.com and register, get more information. You can reach out to the JDC, Darren and Steve, and get more information. You can also reach out to us at the CDC. Both Peter and our youth director, Erin Quinn, can field questions. We are excited to start to get the ball rolling on academies here in North America. There's a great one in Throgs Neck, New York, that has started this year. And that is, we see being the future of the game, and it's no different here in North America. So go check out the info there if you want to join the JDC at McHale's for the accreditation day. So then we'll transition out of here. We want to promo again. You can find ticket info at champdarts.com. Not only can you get a promo code, you put in PDC25 and get 25% off remaining tickets. Quite honestly, folks, there's not a ton left. There are some tickets left, but it's been selling good. And Alex, I think you might get that sound this year. We've watched in the last few years a third section. 2 years ago be unsold. Last year they opened it up the week of. That's been up for sale and is to from what I've heard, sold pretty well. So the place is going to be jam packed. Not only can you get tickets, but you can also get great hotel information. My boy Peter Cetera has got a block there at the New Yorker Hotel, so you can get that information at Champ Darts. So I'll give you boys a quick outro. Any thoughts? Alex, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say 2 years ago, MSG was good, but last year it was just unreal. It actually felt like we were in Europe at a major event. And if we have that exponential growth, I just can't wait to see if we can have that for CDC type events, then I don't have to go to Europe anymore. I can just stay home and get that experience.
Mr. Dixon, anything before we transition to our next segment?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm trying to make it happen. This will be my first time at MSG, and I can't wait to see what that feeling is. I mean, like I said, I lived through some of the random TikToks that just showed up in my algorithm the past couple of years from randos that are enjoying the sport that I geek out over. So I'm excited to see that big production here with my own eyes.
I don't know if it's the most appropriate thing to bring up, and don't worry, I'm not going to actually say anything bad. But I was like, I think we actually even had a fight in the stands last year, which really legitimizes that people are up there having a great time and
now it's a sport. Move. Yeah, we've gone to blows. We've become legitimate, boys and girls. All right. If you want to be kept up to date on everything CDC, PDC, North America, we urge you to sign up for the CDC newsletter. See if I think we've got a QR code might be up there. If not, you can also go to champdarts.com. There you go. There is your QR code. Thank you, Mr. Jeff. So you can sign up for the newsletter, stay up to date with everything CDC. You can also get promos from our sponsors and all kinds of stuff. Say again, Miss KJ in my ear. No way. We've got US Darts Masters tickets to give away. You don't say. If you sign up for the newsletter, you will be in the running to win a pair of tickets. I can see Gordon right now. He's signing up to win tickets to the US Masters. And quite honestly, well, Gordon said he's trying to make it happen. He don't want to pay. If it doesn't have to be his dime, why should it be, right? We will no fine print for Mr. Gordon. AE says Gordon can enter the drawing. I hear Peter Cetera going, no, he can't. Get Gordon some tickets. That's all I say.
Boom goes the dynamite.
those tickets are moving fast, so that might be one of your only ways to get to MSG is to sign up for the newsletter. So we hope you guys do that. So now let's head towards our third segment. We want to take a look at the upcoming 2025 Championship Darts Circuit. We kick off in just a few weeks, May 9th, 9th and 10th in Niagara Falls. That's weekend one. We want to discuss, let's see, a few things. One of the more exciting things is we'll pull up the payouts. That was an exciting announcement a couple of weeks ago. So there is your, we're expanded just a little bit. We, wanted to give players the most notable thing in there is an expansion down to the top 32. So you get your entry fee back at the 32 level. Just like funny to tie everything together, online darts, Barneveld, Pro Tours, and early round money. I saw an interview where Barney was backing that up. There is a real sentiment now for the PDC money to start to get to a first round. This is pretty close. This is 32. A lot of the fields that we've got are 64 and just above it. So for a lot of players going into the 25 circuit, it's going to be one win and you've got your entry fee back. So we're really excited about that. I checked with Peter today just to know where like the players are, like what you're playing for. Right now, we've got approximately 140 tour card holders. We've got two Q schools coming this Friday at Early Bird in Mississippi and Tricota in the DC area. So there's still a chance to earn your card. But once that's done, then these players are going to compete this summer. So you've got a good shot as a player to come get a good amount of this money. So each event is going to be $11,500. There's 16 events. So, over the course of the summer, you can earn a couple bucks. I know Mr. Spellman, we were talking in LA about what Alex went home last year. Don't worry, we're not going to, talk too many numbers and get the tax man involved. But, Alex did pretty well last year. We've got the cross border there up for grabs. What we just played, $15,000. Mr. Gates walked away with $3,000 for first place. Continental Cup, a little expansion there, moved up to $17,000, and a move that I really liked. The first place in the Continental Cup is now a nice even $5,000, and that helps a little bit because you talk to non-dart people, and the first question always is what do they make? What are they playing for? So we are happy to be over $200,000 for the course of it. Those two special events, there's you don't pay to get in them, you earn your way in. So Gordon, I don't know if you've got anything to contribute there. And then on that graphic there is also there are opportunities to play in the PDC Worlds, in the World Cup if they're available. The Winmar Masters, we saw players get a chance to go over there. The Grand Slam, you have an opportunity. When we touched on earlier, the PDC Worlds is expanding. That's still to be announced, but we would hope and expect that we may have a few more spots. So you get on this road to the circuit, and right now we send two, one US, one Canada, and we hope that expands. So Gordon, a good ways that we've come here in a decade.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the top 32 payout may not seem like much, but I mean, you kind of mentioned grinding earlier. And if you're continually going out, winning around, and then going out, and you come away with nothing, and now you get your entry fee back, now it's back to, can I travel to the next one? And I've got my entry fee back, and I can kind of reinvest that for another go. The other thing that I would say about the graphic, and I was trying to do the math on how we got to the 215 because I just saw that number. I didn't see that graphic yet. That doesn't include all of the things that you can qualify for past any of this stuff.
Exactly. That is straight money from the CDC.
Yeah, you can start compounding that with some of the other opportunities that this opens up for you. Even if that's kind of tangentially towards like opportunities in Modus and some of those other things that that go on. This is growing at a very nice pace, I think. Obviously, everybody that's at a top level here is going to be hoping or looking for more and faster. But just looking at the growth and the opportunities that are being provided, I think it's awesome. And this expansion to top 32 again, it can't really be highlighted enough what that means to filling out brackets, getting people there time and time again is a big step.
Yeah, it's the first 2 weekends we've got 2 events because we have the qualifiers, and then the last 4 weekends there'll be a third event. So the thinking from our perspective is player comes in, has 3 chances that weekend to hey, we hope everybody really gets a championship at some point. But if you don't, if you've got some mix of a 32, you have one breakout day where you're at 16 or 8, and then fold in another, top 16 or 32 in there, that there will be at some point some break even point, or even a slight on the plus side, just to your point, to keep the momentum, to keep the morale, to say, all right, I've got enough energy and finances to give weekend 2 a go. So so players can commit to more weekends, and then when the dust settles, hopefully you look back on the year and it's like, well, okay, that I did okay, it wasn't terrible. Maybe I could have done better, but it allowed me to continue the path and continue to take that shots. And before we go to Alex's take on it, like what Gordon was saying, there was those PDC opportunities with it come with a lot of those events. A lot of them have guaranteed money. You go to the Worlds, there's X amount. Just off the top of my head, about $7,500, like just for getting there. So we talk about what we're going to give you in the $3,000 to $5,000 range, but there's a few $1,000s that kind of get baked into the cake of getting those opportunities. So, Alex, your take, you're privy to be on our Players Council, so you've seen some of this develop, and what's your take as we are about to open up 2025?
Yeah, when we had discuss, not when I say we, not necessarily us, but when people would have discussions online about, well, what's holding you back from participating, not just in the CDC, but just darts in general. It was always cost, time off, time away from family, distance, all that stuff. And I would always say, no, it's the prize money, because and everybody would always tell me, no, you're wrong, but if that prize money, if you're playing for $1 million, guess what? Suddenly you don't mind taking that time off. Suddenly you don't mind risking that cost. And suddenly you don't mind, hey, honey, I'm going to go play darts, but it's for $1 million. She's probably going to be like, ooh, yeah, go do that. So giving the opportunity, obviously you have to keep the high end top heavy to incentivize the top players to come out, but you have to give something to the lower end players, or not even lower end players. I don't mean that like in the statistical ability level. I just mean the guys that are finishing top 16, top 32. It gives them something to subsidize, as you said, the next event.
Something to subsidize, and we've watched players grow and mature. It hopefully will buy them that time to have that breakout weekend, like I'm in the semis, and like to stick around to gain enough experience to then be able to move into that next level.
Yeah, and I've put out, I don't think I put videos out, but I've put out posts in the past showing that just showing up, that alone might be enough to get you into a Continental Cup. Now, that was before the affiliate tour, but before the affiliate tour, when occasionally we'd have some trouble, especially up at the Canadian events, getting people, the tour card holders up there, you were getting good points just for showing up. And it's easy to, especially this year with how many events there are, you have just a couple good runs. You're sitting right there on the cusp of the top 16, which is guaranteed money. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and that's a whole that is another. It's a whole another type of that's a points conversation, and it's one that we don't have enough. Yeah, I remember famously sitting with one of our CDC staff people, Angelo DiGiulio, a couple of years ago, and kind of he didn't get it, and we walked through it about what what the investment is sometimes with these points that you're playing for. We've got an order of merit that now is expanding to a 2-year order of merit. And great example. We put on that flyer and somebody had, and it says PDC World Cup, and somebody took umbrage with that a little bit. Like, why are you pretending that you have PDC World Cup spots? And I was like, well, twofold. One, we never know what might happen in the next few months, right? Like, if whatever.
If someone were to get injured or something, we have an
players
order
right
of
now.
merit.
Exactly. Yeah. You're not wishing, like, exactly. Something might happen where there's a vacancy. Well, it will go back to the CDC order of merit, as it has a few times in the last 4 to 5 years now, right? So the players sitting there are still, in a sense, eligible if the opportunity arises, right? But then you've also now got to look at, like, you're playing for points now. If this is a 2-year order of merit, hey, Mazel Tov, we hope we have 20, North American tour card holders, but, this stuff is cyclical. Sometimes we don't, so what you earn now may affect your chance to play in the 2027 PDC World Cup. So, so I didn't think it was egregious to put that on the poster, because you are investing, and that's how this system works. Like, you go to Niagara Falls and play for points. Those points are going to, we seed off the order of merit. So there's a chance that, in the middle of 2026, you've moved up from the 12 to the 7 seed based on, what you did in Niagara Falls, or so, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, this stuff does have an impact, and we
Yeah.
don't message that well enough, often enough.
Yeah, and it's like so like mentioning Lobby, for example. Lobby's in his second year, as is Jules. If they don't retain their card, then we have two we have two U.S. spots open up now. So now it's going to go to the top 2 Americans, and we have a lot of events that are about to roll off. So, like, when we talk about the last qualifying U.S. Masters spot that goes to the order of merit, Stowe's 3-weekend run is about to fall off, so he's got some extra work to do. Myself, I made 3 of those 4 finals myself. I also have some work to do, and that was 2 years ago. So what happened? It follows you. I think there was an event where Jason Brandon had to miss a couple events. Had he just shown up, he would have qualified for the Continental Cup. I think there was a year where Gates got the World Cup spot, but Baggish only missed it out by like a point or half a point. Baggish missed 1 event. Had he just shown up at that event, he would have got I think he said he wouldn't have been able to make it anyway. But the point is that, let's say he did want that spot or could make it, he would have just by showing up.
Exactly. Exactly.
You're committing. You're not necessarily. I always go back to that first year of the CDC. I knew I had talent. I just didn't know how to bring it out yet. And I still showed up and paid my $400 in entry fees just to lose, because I was investing in the CDC, but I was trying to invest in myself as well, and looking down the road and not in the immediate. So I always try to encourage people. Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to use that again, that theme that you laid out early. It's an investment. Like, players need to learn that they're investing in themselves in something in the future. Because, like you said, a player coming off a PDC tour card, gets to a place where if they don't retain, players will next summer all of a sudden scramble to say, well, how do I get that? They might expect the opportunity to be in the here and now, and we'll actually say, no, this is now going to the players who have put in the commitment and put in time. So the spot earned the spot given next year was filled, at the early part of this year, or in some fashion, right?
So even if you feel like you're not playing that well right now, but you feel like maybe you're working through some issues, whatever it may be, Savada is 7th in the order of merit right now, and I don't think he's defending any points from, say, like the 4 that are about to drop off while we work towards the U.S. Masters. I don't think he's defending any points, because he had such a great year this last year. He just rocketed up. Just like I had a year where I made half the finals that year. I didn't win them all, but I made half the finals, which crushed, the point totals. But that was just 1 year. So if I had that 1 year, even if it was a bad year, but I still kind of, picked up some points here or there, it pushes me up and gives me, maybe squeezes me in for an opportunity. So it's, for the players out there, I know the cost is high. Split rooms with people. Look,
there's ways to do it. Exactly. Invest in your future. There's money, there's points, there's a lot to be played. So I want to get Gordon's take on our next little thing. Alex has been privy to this. We've mentioned it online, but we haven't. We have a graphic that's going to be pending, so we'll probably do a little bit more social media wise this coming week. But we've got a twist coming, Gordon. Every Saturday event. So every weekend we'll have 6 weekends. The Saturday 12 o'clock event will have a twist to it. We're calling it the Saturday Special. It's still part of the tour, part of those 16. So you'll have 10 events that'll be the straight up as it is now, knockout 9, 11, 13 sort of thing. But now we're going to introduce a little twist. We're going to do a double in. We're going to do set play. We're going to do win by 2. So there will be a little different taste every single weekend for not only the players but the fans, and that's going to be, they're going to be events that have the same point structure, and you go through, and I don't have it offhand. Most of them are set already, but so we'll put that schedule up. But it is a mix of, we're going to do some set play from like a master standpoint. So it'll be first to 3 in each set, and it'll be more sets. And then later in the year, we'll flip it. We'll go to World Championship best of 5, and it'll be smaller amount of sets. So there'll be both flavors and best of 2s and double in. So what do you think about that, Mr. Dixon?
I love it. I love it. I absolutely love it. I think given the schedule that we need to keep here in the United States in terms of events, this is a really cool way to get that diversity that you see in big events in Europe. I'm excited to see if it does anything to the order of merit. If you get somebody like a Ryan Joyce that's known for his finishing, but maybe not his scoring. Maybe he then becomes a favorite in the double side of things. So it offers a lot of interesting twists. Do some of the other old Diddle Tour guys that are used to playing 2 out of 3, do they excel in set play where 2 legs actually gets you a set? It's very cool. Again, way to kind of diversify the way that we're playing. It keeps it fresh for the fans and for the players who are entering the events. So no, I actually I thought you were going to throw something that I hadn't seen or heard at all.
Oh, okay.
But I saw that, and I've messaged plenty of people that about that idea, and yeah, I loved it from the first time I saw it being advertised. I think it's a great.
I figured
addition.
it was a little under the radar. We put it out a little bit, but we'll promote it more. So good stuff from Gordon. I like that idea of players with other sort of experiences. Will they excel in some of this? So Alex, give us your take on that, and then we'll head towards home.
Yeah. I've always joked about having weekend tournaments that are away from the norm. We're not playing 501 in cricket. We're playing baseball, or we're playing Bob's 27, whatever it is. So breaking the monotony, not that we don't all enjoy playing 501 at a high level, but to kind of break that monotony is makes it more interesting and fun for me personally. But also, you guys can kind of use it. I don't know if you're intending to do this, but you can almost use it as a testing ground to see what the players actually enjoy, what viewers like, and kind of building special events like the cross border around the events that people are enjoying watching.
Yeah, without a doubt, and we'll get a taste of how the players respond to those. We look at the numbers, what the matches look like, the averages, all of that sort of stuff. So a lot of stuff coming as we open up the circuit. We've got a little more money and more opportunities, more PDC opportunities. Some a twist here each and every weekend. So as fans and viewers, you've got a lot to look forward to. A reminder: we will be back on all 16 events. Will be on PDC TV and YouTube. We'll have some, a little bonus content on Facebook. So there'll be a lot of CDC content to chew on. So, an exciting summer. We're going to bring you more episodes of Shooting the Bull. So a lot coming at you. One other little thing that we do, kind of in that same flavor of, if you want to play in some events that have a different take on 501, is the summer series. The summer series is going to be should be announced this week. Again, another thing that we're working on graphics for. But we've got the core of the summer series, and I'll go in depth into what they are. We've got 4 booked We may add a fifth or even a sixth. Summer Series has been going on a couple of years. It's a chance for non-CDC card holders to come compete against card holders. Everybody's invited to play. They're hosted at some great, open tournaments. So it's sort of, I know Gordon has played a ton when we did the match play at Music City, and Alex has won a few in DC. So this year we've got the shootout, which is going to be held at the Toronto Open May 30th. Then we're going to have, which is I think double in. Then we're going to have the Classic July 11th at the Charlotte Open. That's going to be set play. We'll have the match play, a summer tradition back at Music City July 25th. And then we'll finish up with, well, we may not finish up. There may be a twist in here somewhere, but the fourth one booked is the Congressional at WADA, and that is a UK Open style redraw. So again, this is, soon we'll have registration open on Champ Darts. So there's good prize money to be had, good experiences to, you get a chance to go play against the top players in North America. And it's also, now we started last year, part of the associates list. Okay. Alex touched on this. We keep what's called an associates list, and that's a mix of our Q School events and the Summer Series events. And they both create a list, that players can earn points. And if you do not have a tour card, and we do not fill 64 players on any one given weekend, we go to that associates list. And those players get the opportunity to play CDC weekends. Forgive me for not remembering more names, but most notably Davey Main last year came off of that associates list. He was up there, and he got a chance to play 2, possibly 3 weekends. And I know the subtext of that is that means we weren't filling fields, but I'll leave that for you guys to figure out. But Davey Main got the opportunity, made them. I knew Gordon would get that. It's like a good and a bad thing, but it worked. It worked. We had a lot of excitement off of that, and the Players Council was very happy that they helped us design that associates list, and it gave players without cards an opportunity to come compete. And you saw Davey Main do well last year, get the fire to go earn his card, which he did. So now he's a full card holder. But it's another way to reward players and the commitment to playing Q schools and Summer Series. So I know I threw a lot out there at everybody. So we'll go to Gordon, Alex, and we'll kind of close this segment out on anything that we laid out there, Summer Series, twists and payouts and worlds and all that kind of good stuff. Mr. Dixon.
So the only thing I do want to go back to the twists. I've had this call it a dream. I want to play in front of a panel of 3 judges, and the average of whatever they think you scored is what you get credit for. I think as far as like a night out or some type of an exhibition, I just think that would be absolutely an incredible kind of twist on things. Maybe you've got a judge that doesn't like you, or a judge that really likes you and helps
the Russian
you out.
Judge. It's always the Russian judge, Gordon. It's always the Russian judge. Yes.
So I just want to throw that out into the ether for a potential twist, and I would be more than happy to be one of the judges. No, I think the associates. Sure, it has some implications as far as filling weekends, but if you're finding alternatives to also give people the opportunity to get in there and mix it up, I mean, job done. In the way I look at it. I have heard from some of them that it does make it tough because it's last minute travel and stuff like that. But at the same time, again, even if there's another outlet to get to that full 64 bracket, if you're motivated enough and obviously you've played in the events to get on that associates list to begin with, I think it's a great opportunity. So excited. I was excited to hear about that. I don't think you guys talk about the player council enough. I didn't know that was necessarily kind of born out of that player council. Cause that shows some real, another thing that I always complain about in darts is like the more minds that you have, the more kind of I have this experience, I work in this outside of darts, I work in that outside of darts. those are the kind of things that come together and really build innovation and different ideas for things that I think get overlooked. And we've done a good job of bringing all of those minds together. But I think that player council is probably another example of that I would love to be a fly on the wall with to see what else kind of gets born out of that.
I'll take some pressure off of Alex for a second because I don't want to put it all on him to sort of explain the players' council. Yeah, we've got a group that is really a fantastic group, and we probably don't promote it enough. But I want to follow it up with to say that they're actually working really hard to build some solid structure to it, to make it a substantial entity, to really be, a part of this whole process. And, and with it, the chance for CDC tour card holders to not only, have information about it, but have opportunities to be involved in it, i.e., rotating positions that are up for some sort of vote, and like that stuff is in process. And we know there's so much going on; it takes a little bit of time to get that. So that's all meant to be positive, Alex. That that Players Council is actively engaged in how they can be most effective to not only represent the players as a group, but then to enact, be a voice for change, if you will, to sort of, be an advocate for, a yay or a nay on developing things. So you can and cannot speak on that if you wish. And then overall, give me a little view on, what we just sort of like jam packed in for what's coming up on the circuit.
So the guys that you initially picked for the council, and we plan on having elections at some point so that the players can choose who they want to represent them. But you guys chose people that are, I guess, not what we would call yes men. We if we thought something was dumb or bad, we would tell you it was dumb or bad. But we also weren't, so high on ourselves that we thought our way is the only way to go, kind of thing. We all gave our ideas, and we all kind of agreed to work together to find things. A lot of the successful solutions to things that we found, like the affiliate tour, came directly from the council presenting it. It wasn't like you guys said, "Hey, here's what we want to do. Help shape it for us." So I know that there's been a lot of comments that, well, the CDC guys don't listen to anybody, so what does it matter? But I can assure them that a lot of the changes, even some of the unpopular ones, not only did the CDC implement, but they were direct changes suggested by us. And I will even say that some of them were very, very much pushed and promoted by myself because I was trying to get membership up. So like one of the things I pushed was the affiliate tour. I said, treat it like the challenge tour, where you have these guys that are traveling all over the place trying to get their card and they don't get it. But then you have guys that won their full ride and then never show up. So why not reward the guys that wanted to be there and were trying to get it by inviting them in to fill those spots? I also helped push the let's get rid of the full ride because it was only a 1-year thing. So it's like, okay, they show up 1 week and they did bad, so they just don't show up anymore. Well, there's no penalty to them because it was only a 1-year card anyway. It's no money in your pocket because they weren't contributing anything. So instead, make it like a free weekend, let them get their taste or whatever. And if they don't like it, they have a bad weekend, okay, then whatever, they don't need to show up anymore. They'll get penalized for it because they're not using that card and they took it from someone that might want to. But we can still fill their spot with, someone from the affiliate tour. And I get it. Some players didn't like that. And every time I saw a complaint, I raised my hand and said, hey, it's me. So the guys on the tour, the guys on the council, not only are we, afraid to say no to you guys, but we're also not afraid to back up and justify the things that we're trying to do. We're not trying to, do it for ourselves. We're not trying to do it necessarily for the lower players either. We're trying to do it for the tour in general, for everybody, for you guys, for the higher level players, for the lower level players. We're just trying to get the more people we get playing, the higher the quality of the product, the more opportunities we're going to have. And then who knows, maybe down the road, okay, now we don't have to have penalties for, okay, you won all 3 of the first events of the year, so you can take a couple weeks off if you want to. But we're just not there yet. We saw that in Canada. People didn't show up. You guys had to put in hey, here's $100, $200 bonus for the high out for the weekend just to help put some extra money in our pockets because the attendance just wasn't there, and that's kind of what we based the
that
team
was a
is
few years
off
ago,
of.
but yeah,
You know?
we've been we've
But the point was
we've
that
been known to
ideas like the
sure,
affiliate tour came from that kind of experience from the players.
absolutely,
And if it was a struggle
absolutely.
for guys like me to make the money, it was definitely going to be a struggle for the other guys to make some money as well. But we really enjoy it. We appreciate that you guys actually listen and make the changes. And I talked to Anthony in that car ride in LA from the airport, and I'm very much a proponent of, I'm not afraid of failure. I'm going to try something, and if it doesn't work, I just won't do it again. I'll try something else. But if we try something and it works, then we keep it. And over time, over many iterations, you start to build a cohesive, good
Some
product
things
for
work
everybody.
and some things don't work. And yeah, we've tried to play along those lines that,
Yeah.
be open and willing to admit if something worked or something didn't work, and be willing to
Yeah.
take a chance on something. So before we move into our last segment, this was a great chat, and we hope everybody gets excited. I've been remiss, I forgot to mention that we've put some chat room things up there. Please leave a comment and a question if you have anything. I'm going to ask Jeff just cold, do we have any questions for the boys before we dip into our last segment and start to get everybody out of here? We've had a nice packed show. So 3, 2, 1. Nope. Jeff is telling me nothing. No specific questions in the chat, but we do thank everybody for being in there. You are a big part of the show, so we love to build a little community, get in there and chat. Okay, so let's play along with our last segment here. We've been having a lot of fun all year with all of our contributors. So if Maestro, if we're ready, let's find out what's grinding Gordon's gears.
My gears are turning, my ears are burning. I got levels of knowledge, it's gotta come out. Dixon's my name, Gordon motherfucker.
Again, first time
Oh dear Lord!
experiencing that. It's a nice little
I think
ditty.
it's getting better and better that we all just see it cold on air. Like,
No. I wouldn't have wanted to see that first. Um, I'll keep it short this time. There's no shortage of things that grind my gears. But the thing that is currently grinding my gears as a darts fan and commentator is if I have to watch an entire generation of people shoot 17 on 81. I am not going to be a very happy camper. So this is a direct message to Luke Lidler that that he needs to play correctly. And I know you're the world champion right now, and I know your entire shtick is you can hit anything on the board. I'm not actually doubting that. I'm doubting that in the long run that this is going to be the best thing for you to continue to win legs. Triple 17 on 81, even if it's for a 9-darter, is just not the way to go. It is not going to give you the best opportunity to win legs, time over leg over leg, time after time. So please stop doing it.
Unless he's being big brained here and teaching a younger generation that he's going to be playing with eventually, because he's young himself, how to play wrong. So it's just that much easier for him to win in the future.
Oh, I love the 4D chess argument. I absolutely love it. It's one of the stronger ones against that. At least someone's not straw manning me, telling me that you're not guaranteed to hit it out if you shoot the 19s on 81. It's not what I'm saying. That's not at all what I'm saying. Shoot your percentage shots. I'm to the point where I'm over shooting the bull for that level of darts on 90 to 94. because I understand the numbers are actually in their favor for a triple in their first 2 darts. I'm over that. It's still wrong, but I can buy it at that level. I cannot
Still
buy
wrong.
triple 17.
I think
on 81.
situation matters, because early on, let's say that you are and we're tied 1-1, you're on 32 and I have 90. I'm probably going trip 18. Especially, and it may depend on how I'm playing. Maybe I'm not playing well. I might go bull in that situation, but more often than not, I'm doing that 5-5. Depending on how I'm feeling, I probably want that guaranteed look at a finish. I probably go bull. So it's situational, but statistically, yeah, if you're hitting a triple at a 45% rate, you're probably it's like a bell curve. If you're an awful player on 92, just go for the triple 20. If you're a pretty decent player, go bull, but at like a Humphreys Littler level, it's probably statistically better to just go for the triple. But situations do matter as well.
No, they absolutely. I mean, if they're not at a finish, do whatever you like. But like I said, an entire generation shooting 51 on 81 is it's gonna kill me.
The advice I give to some people is, if you're not sure what to shoot in a situation, think, what would I want my opponent to shoot here? And then don't do that. Like, I would want you to shoot triple 17. If you shoot that and you hit it, I'm going to be annoyed and roll my eyes at you, but I want you to shoot that shot.
Yeah, no. Please shoot that shot. No, I completely understand that mindset for sure.
My producer's in my ear going, how long do we let the conversation about specific shots go on? And the world is like, don't stop this. So I smell a late summer special episode on which state has the best players, and do we go bulls or triples on certain outshots for these 2 gentlemen. We've got lots of content to come later this summer.
If you do that, you got to get Baggish on
great.
Here.
They not. All right. Do we want? All right, you 2 plus Baggish, and we're gonna have like an hour and 20 minutes on cricket strategy. Is that where we're going with this? I love it. I'm in.
There's no strategy in cricket. I'm down. I need
I'll
the
set
point.
up a cardboard.
I'm up.
I'll set
I
up
need
a
the
cardboard
close.
cutout. I'll come in, say hello. See you guys in about 90 minutes. I'll make dinner reservations, and then everybody will be happy. But that actually does sound wonderful, because you guys, now I'm going to get real. You guys are awesome. You contribute so much great content. It's been a wonderful night, and you are always both just awesome when you come on. And this is why fans out there love you guys, because you're knowledgeable, succinct, and just so much fun. So I don't think anybody wants us to step out before we watch that graphic again. Give me what's grinding Gordon's gears. You got to see it again.
Send it home.
My gears are turning, my ears are burning. I got levels of knowledge, it's gotta come out. Dixon's my name, good up motherfucker.
Fantastic and brilliant work by Jeff McMahon, as always. We keep throwing him curveballs, and he keeps hitting it down the line. Outstanding job with that graphic, and I definitely look forward to more. Later in the summer, we'll get Gordon back for more what's grinding Gordon's gears, and we're going to find out what's in Pete's cup again, and Sean, what makes Sean happy, and what is going on in Mark's mind. So great fun from a lot of our contributors, and we hope you've all, you enjoy what we try and bring you here with Shooting the Bull. Again, thank you, Gordon. Thank you, Alex. Appreciate you being on tonight. You can follow them on social media, and great guys. Any really important stuff? Any sponsors or any upcoming events that you need to promo? Other than that, we need to wrap it up. Alex, nothing?
I'm gone on the weekend, the next 10 weekends, so I'm not going to talk about all those. I will say this, though. If Gordon comes back and starts playing and qualifies for MSG, that song didn't sound that hard to play. I will, just like Jules had live music, I will go up there and I will play that as your walk-on song.
I feel like that is a shot at me that I couldn't make him do that. And that
Actually,
may be
no.
enough to get me to practice. That may be
I
enough
didn't
to get
mean
me
it
to
that way
practice.
at all. I'm just saying.
The sticks are coming out.
Look, I didn't mean it that way at all. I'm just saying that, like, look, once you had talent, it's always there. You can pull it back out. I'm just saying, like, hey, that song sounded simple enough. I was gonna jokingly grab my guitar, so when they came back to me, I was playing. But look, you make it to MSG, I will go up on stage and play the grinding Gordon's gears song live.
Any
I love
last
it.
words?
I love it.
Gordon, anything before we go?
No. I keep the graphics coming, Jeff. Wonderful job. I always appreciate working with you guys. Whether it's here on the podcast or on the tour doing the live events. It's absolutely a pleasure. Great chatting with both you guys.
Thanks. Which we need to message you. Me and Pete will message you, and we'll see what you're available for some commentary coming this summer. So, thank you to Gordon and Alex for joining us. Thank you to Jeff and KJ behind the scenes for getting the show on the air. Thank you out there, the podcast listener and the Facebook and YouTube viewer. We greatly appreciate your support. As always, you can find us at Champ Darts on Facebook and X and Instagram and TikTok and on YouTube. You can sign up for the newsletter on our website. On behalf of the entire Shooting the Bull crew, I'm Anthony Eugenia. Just want to implore you to be kind to your fellow human being, and we'll see you soon for the next episode of Shooting the Bull.
Thanks for joining us for Shooting the Bull, the official podcast of the Championship Darts Circuit. Subscribe to the show so you don't miss an episode, and follow us at Champ Darts on social media to keep up with all of the latest news on North American darts.